Welcome to my PowerPoint about soloists, harmonics, and instruments. Starting with Death Knight, of course, half of the classes in the games got harmonics and half of the other classes in the game got soloists, but every single class got an instrument or a weapon in this expansion, Festival of Legends. Death Knight received Harmonic Metal. This card's actually relatively good in Standard. Hand buff Death Knight has received support a few times since Harmonic Metal has come out, and it does see a little bit of play in those decks. It's overall just a pretty good amount of stats for the amount of mana you're spending. It's 3 mana to give minions in your hand a +8/+8 worth of stats, which overall is, I would say, pretty good. The 4 minions in your hand +2/+2 is probably better than 2 minions in your hand +4/+4 overall. A lot of that does happen a lot for a lot of these harmonic and dissonant cards, where the dissonant version is slightly worse or slightly better, and they're not really as equal as you would expect them to be, but it does happen. Of course, if you don't know, the way that they work is that the numbers on the cards are always swapped. So instead of give 4 random minions in your hand +2/+2, the dissonant version would be give 2 random minions in your hand +4/+4. Eventually, we'll get to other versions that are just like that. Then we have Arcanite Ripper. Arcanite Ripper is actually a really powerful card. It reads 3 mana, 3/2 weapon, death rattle, summon a 1/1 lifesteal undead, change your health on your turn while equipped to improve. All of the instruments, sorry, not all, most of the instruments actually follow something very similar to this, where it's like, do something on your turn to improve. And Arcanite Ripper was actually really, really strong. During Festival of Legends, we had a very powerful triple blood Death Knight. So powerful, in fact, that they completely nerfed all triple rune cards, and seemingly they haven't printed any triple rune cards since that aren't rainbow. Is this the reason? Maybe, maybe not. It's not too likely for it to have been the reason, but it's definitely a possibility. Usually when they create cards, they create them, a year or two in advance. So it's not too likely that it is the main reason why they haven't printed triple rune cards, but it definitely might be the reason why they aren't going to anymore. Then we have Demon Hunter. So Demon Hunter, of course, has a soloist. Guitar Soloist. Guitar Soloist is terrible. It's unbelievably bad. 5 mana 4/3, bad. Battlecry. If you control no other minions, draw a spell, minion, and a weapon. On paper, that would be a fine card. Honestly, if Guitar Soloist were just a Battlecry, it probably would have been a fair, strong card. Would it have been really good? Yeah, probably. Draw 3 cards for a 5 mana, but with like a 4/3 body, that's pretty good. But overall, it definitely didn't need to have the soloist restriction. I don't think almost any of the soloists actually needed to have the soloist restriction, but yeah. Then we have Glaivetar. Glaivetar is actually incredibly powerful. It's been very good in different kinds of standard decks, standard aggro decks. You can play it a standard fatigue deck with Arana with it, but its main use is with Questline Demon Hunter and Wild. Questline Demon Hunter and Wild loves this card. They play a metric fuck ton of outcast cards. They play so many different ways to draw through their deck, and Glaivetar is just great. It synergizes incredibly well with your Irebound Brutes. It synergizes incredibly well with your Arana, because, you are going to be discounting your deck from Kurtrus, so you're able to actually use Arana and Glaivetar a lot better. You're drawing through your deck significantly faster than the standard versions as well, so it happens a lot faster. Glaivetar is just a really strong card. It's also just like a good body. 4 mana 4/2, death rattle, draw 1 card, play an outcast card while equipped to improve. It's just overall a good card. It's a good statted weapon. It just draws you a lot of cards. It's just solid. Then we have Druid. So Druid has our Druid has our Harmonic Mood. Harmonic Mood is, of course, give your hero +2 attack. This turn, gain 4 armor, and then swaps each turn, so get 4 attack and then 2 armor. This card's great. It's so good. You play it with Lost in the Park and Wild. You play Lost in the Park on 1, then you play you play Dissonant Mood, because they're called Dissonant. On 2, for the +4 attack, you instantly complete the quest, you gain 2 armor, then you gain another 5 armor from the quest, and if you're really a high roller, you have Spread the Word in your hand, which is 4 mana, draw 2 cards, cost 1 less for each attack your hero has. So, you can have an incredibly powerful turn 2, you can heal 7 health, you can deal 4 damage to enemy hero, and you can tick the quest by 1 stage. It is a very powerful card. Harmonic Mood just, feels like it was made specifically to synergize with the quest line, even though you couldn't play them together, which is kind of funny in Standard. But Harmonic Mood has just been a very powerful card. It is good in even Druid and Wild as well. Not so much because you can complete the quest, which you can't, because, it's even Druid. But just the fact that, sometimes you can play spread the word on turn 2 if you just like get a good opener is really good. It's also just a good amount of damage. 2 mana to deal 4 damage and heal for 2 is pretty good. The other way around is not that good. 2 mana, 2 attack, and gain 4 armor. The harmonic side is just a little bad, but it's okay. Timber Tambourine, 4 mana, 2/3 weapon, Death Rattle, summon 1 5/5 ancient, play cards that cost 5 or more while equipped to improve. This card was actually really good in Standard during Festival of Legends. You had Drum Druid. You would play, well, Timber Tambourine, you would ramp it up, and then you would play the Drum Circle, which is 7 mana spell. I don't even remember what the first option is, because it doesn't matter. And the second option would be give your minions +2/+4. Yeah, it's a choose one spell, but who cares about the first option, you know? And that's really good. You get a full board of 5/5s by, you know, completing the weapon. Then you could play something like the... Oh, it's like something... It's like see something green. I don't know. It's the 6 mana 5/5 Naga that would refresh your mana based on like highest cost spell in your hand, which would of course tick Tambourine, get you another 5/5, so it'd be 2 5/5s for that card. Then you would be able to do a bunch of jank. It was just like overall a pretty good deck, genuinely speaking. It's kind of fallen off just because why would you play it? You know, in Titans, they printed just better cards, and then when Showdown of the Badlands came out, okay, well, yeah, now there's literally no reason to use any of these cards because they printed the Dragon package, was just significantly better. Then we have Hunter. So Jungle Jammer is just like, just barely not a good card. Maybe if it were like 3 mana, even as just 4, if it were a 3 mana 4/2 weapon, it would actually be really good, but that's a different story. But if it were a 3 mana 3/2 weapon and it had this same effect, it probably would be relatively decent. Or maybe there was better way, or there were more cards like Bunch of Bananas and, what's it called? And Barrel of Monkeys, or there were ways to like actually cheat mana on your spells in Hunter. One of those 3 things, I feel like this card genuinely could be really strong, but it's just not, doesn't have any of them. Like, it feels like a card that could be really good. You play it on like turn 3, and then you get to have like you get to play a bunch of spells and then drop like a 6 mana beast on turn 4. Like, yeah, that's very potential, has a lot of potential to be really strong. It's just not there.
Harmonic Soloist.
Spit on my mic doing that. Harmonica Soloist is terrible. All of the soloists are bad. Don't get me wrong. All of the soloists are bad. They're really bad. Even the ones that have seen fringe play have been like not good at all. Like Saxophone Soloist saw some fringe play. The Opera Soloist, I think it's called, saw like a little bit of experimentation, but they're bad, and people found out they're bad because having no other minions is hard. Having minions is good. You want to have minions in Hearthstone. So it's really hard to do. Yeah, Harmonica Soloist, 3 mana, 4/2, Battlecry, if you control another minions, discover and cast a secret. That's also just not that good of an effect. Like, if it were cast 2 secrets, maybe it would have been worth, you know, the condition of no other minions. But it's not. This could have just been a 3 mana 4/2, no condition, and it would have been like an okay at best card. It would have been a fine card. That's the thing. Most of the soloists are fine cards if they didn't have the condition, and they probably wouldn't have even been that good. You know, some of them might, like Opera Soloist or Saxophone Soloist, like I said, but man. Then we get the Mage. So Cosmic Keyboard is actually a really strong card. I mean, if you play Standard, you know this one. Like, I'm genuinely surprised that Cosmic Keyboard hasn't popped up more in Wild because of just how good it is in Standard. I think it's partially just due to the fact that you can't really play any form of Tempo Mage in Wild, which is sad. But Cosmic Keyboard's just like, I don't know, it lets you get like a lot of really good tempo when you play like 2 to 5 cost spells. It lets you get a lot of value if you play like 6 or more cost spells from this card because it gives you just big minions on top of your spells. It's just a really, really strong card. If you really want to, you can run it with Sharp Shipment and Rogue, so it'll instantly summon you a 4/4, and then it will be a 2/4 weapon. I mean, that's not terrible. I wouldn't do it because, you know, you could just play Skyla and then like anything else, but it's not bad. Like, overall, it's like not a terrible combination. And then you have Keyboard Soloist, X fucking D, dude. I mean, okay, 4 mana 2/4. If you control no other minions, summon 2/1/2 amps with spell damage +1, and it's a Naga. Again, not having minions, even in Mage, is quite difficult, especially for an effect that isn't that good. You can just, in Wild right now, in Standard, actually, last year, actually, the one expansion before Keyboard Soloist came out. There was a 3 mana 2/2 that would give you +2 spell damage. Yes, it had the condition that you couldn't send spells face, but there were workarounds for that. Then they print Keyboard Soloist, which is +1 mana. Yeah, it summons a lot of stats. It actually does summon a lot of stats, I will admit. But it has a condition to give you the same amount of spell damage as a 3-mana card. This isn't even talking about something like Street Trickster, which is also a 3-mana minion that gives you +2 spell damage for no cost, no condition, no nothing. And yeah, Keyboard Soloist is just a really bad card. There's just no way to actually make it work. It just doesn't do anything. As far as I know, the amps aren't mechs also. They might be. I might be wrong on that, but if the amps were mechs, at least it would have, like, something going on. But, like, come on, dude. It just doesn't. Then we have Paladin. So, Harmonic Disco is obviously unplayable. I mean, like, they've tried to make this effect, like, kind of effect work a million times, where you discover, like, a minion and then give it stats, and it just doesn't work. Like, they keep trying to force this effect in current year and just does not work. Like, they printed the one card in Shaman that will, like, let you play a 4-mana 7/7. They have the new Trustfall card that came out this mini set. Just none of these cards do anything. So, obviously, Harmonic Disco is going to be bad. The Dissonant version is discover at 1 cost, give it +5/+5. Still terrible. Costs way too much mana. It's just terrible. So bad. So, let's get to some good cards. Disco Maul. Disco Maul is actually, like, obscene. It is 3 mana now, don't get me wrong, but it was a 2 mana 3/2 weapon. You heard me right. They printed Fiery War Axe with a huge upside of Death Rattle, give a random minion +1/+1, play minions while equipped to improve. Holy shit, dude. What were they thinking? Printing Fiery War Axe with a gigantic upside, because that is a huge upside. You could save it to play with charge minions, which a lot of people did. You could just pop it on a Wind Fury minion, which a lot of people did. You could just pop it when it was built up on, like, a minion that just got to attack because they didn't clear your board because you're Paladin. You have a bunch of Divine Shield minions. And that's what a lot of people did. It was a obscenely powerful card. Then, when it was nerfed to 3 mana, it was still pretty good. It saw some play during Festival of Legends. Obviously, you know, Handbuff Paladin got, like, better support as time went on, so, like, cards like, you know, Disco Maul are just not really worth it. But, like, when it first came out, this card was just absolutely disgusting. Then we have Horn of the Windlord. So Horn of the Windlord is just, like, a good card. I don't really know what more to say. It's just a really powerful card. It's a 6 mana 3/4 weapon with Wind Fury, and then it also has an additional effect of whenever your hero attacks a minion, set its stats 3/3. So you can, you know, kill some big minions with it, and, like, pretty efficiently, and that feels good. Or you could give your hero attack through a bunch of different ways. I mean, so many different ways. And then just have Wind Fury. Wow, suddenly it's a really strong card. I mean, Horn of the Windlord is one of those cards that is, like, so very powerful, but it doesn't feel like it needs nerfed because, like, it's just, like, a staple card, right? Where it's just, it sets the baseline power for the class, and, like, yeah, it really shows that it's just a good card. Then we have Priest. So, Harmonic Pop has actually felt very good to me whenever I use it. Not the Harmonic version, obviously, but the Dissonant version. The Dissonant version is 6 mana, deal 6 damage to all minions, summon a 3/3, which is actually really strong. The Harmonic version is just really weak. 6 mana, deal 3 damage to all minions, summon a 6/6. That's just not very good. I'm gonna be so honest with you. Getting a bigger body for less damage just isn't worth it when you're playing an expensive spell like this. It really is not. Idol's Adoration is actually a really strong card. It's fun to use. It gives you, you know, more hero powers. I like using hero powers. Hero powers are fun. It lets you set up a 0-cost hero power for cheaper as well, because it is 1 mana. Hero power costs 2, unlike something like Papercraft Angel, which is 2 mana, to then use in your Overheal decks. You can put it on your Injured Hauler to deal with the board, or you can put it on your you can put it on your Heartbreaker Hedonist to, to kill your opponent through Overheal effects. Overheal Priest is actually really strong. It was played, like, a lot at the Masters Tour that we had before was it before the expansion? No, it was before the mini set, sorry. And it was just a really fun, it was actually before the nerf patch to Pupil, because I remember. But yeah, it was just a really fun deck. These cards genuinely do feel quite strong. Yeah, I don't really know what else to say. They feel quite strong. I guess I probably should have connected the dots. I don't know why I didn't say this on Mage one. The Mage, Warlock, and Priest, I think it's only those 3, are the only ones that don't have the do X to improve effect because they aren't Death Rattle based. These 3 classes, these 3 classes don't attack. They don't really attack very often, so they weren't given weapons that let them actually attack. every other class actually has weapons or, you know, hero powers in Druid's case to be able to attack. These three, that's why they just weren't given it. I should have said that on the Mage one, my bad. Then we have Rogue. So Record Scratcher is genuinely one of the most unfortunate cards ever made. It's surrounded by a lot of very powerful cards that are made to go in the same package. You have Rhyme Spinner, which is the 3-mana 1/3 with Rush that has combo, gain +1/+1 for each other combo card you play this game, which is really powerful. It has, it has things like Foxy Fraud to make use of it. It has Scabs, it has Spirit of the Shark, all these different cards that feel very powerful together. And Record Scratcher is a really important piece of these decks when you're playing a full combo rogue. It's just, it's so weak. Like, maybe if it were 2 mana, it would be a good card. Actually, that's not a maybe. If it was 2 mana, it just would be a strong card. It'd probably be too strong for standard, all things considered, but it's just such an unfortunate card because it is a key piece of these decks, but it's one of the worst cards in the combos. And it's just super, super sad. Then we have Harmonic Hip Hop. So, if you've ever played a Weapon Rogue in either format, since this card has been printed, you know that this card is great. 2 mana, deal 1 damage, give your weapon +3 attack, swaps each turn. This is one of those cards that I was talking about where, like, the Dissonant version is just, like, significantly worse than the Harmonic version, or other way around, I guess. But, not for this one, but, like, say, the Druid card. But, dealing, so 2 mana, deal 3 damage, give your weapon +1 attack is just, like, so much worse. Giving your weapon +3 attack is a lot of damage. If your weapon has 2 durability, that's 6 damage. If your weapon has infinite durability, that's not infinite damage, but it does add up a lot. It's just like, it's a really powerful card. Like, really powerful. It is part of the reason that Kingsbane Rogue was really powerful during Festival of Legends. Obviously, you know, you also had cards like Mic Drop, which were printed at the time, and Instrument Tech, but we're not going to talk about that. But, I don't know, Harmonic Hip Hop, just really, really powerful card. Overall, Rogue is just, like, such a polarized set for this one. It's just, it's so sad to see Record Scratcher versus Harmonic Hip Hop, man. It's just so sad. Then we have Shaman. So, Shaman has Saxophone Soloist, like I spoke about earlier. 1 mana, 1/2 Murloc. If you control no other minions, add a Saxophone Soloist to your hand. If this were just a regular Battlecry minion, it probably would have been actually pretty decent, especially in Murloc decks. But Murloc decks want to be playing other Murlocs and want to have minions on board, so Saxophone Soloist can't really play the game. Wow. Unsurprising. Playing on a 1, like, in Standard was fine. It did see a little bit of use from that, if I remember correctly, but overall, it's just not that good. Then we have Jazz Base. 3 mana, 3/2 weapon, Death Battle, your next spell costs 1 less, overload while equipped to improve. This has seen some, like, experimentation, like some jank combos in Standard. You can play it with Jive Insect. People tried to make it work with Criminal Lineup when that was still in Standard, which is like the 8 mana spell. I think it's Overload 3, I want to say. Choose a minion, summon 4 copies of it. So you would do like Jazz Base, Jive Insect, swing the Jazz Base, and then play Criminal Lineup, and you get a bunch of rags, and that was really funny. But overall, it's just not that good, if you ask me. I don't really remember. I think there was like an Overload or like Nature Shaman kind of that existed that you would run this in, but it wasn't that great from my memory, but I might be wrong. But we have Horn of the Windlord and Shaman. So Horn of the Windlord and Shaman is just like fucking cracked. I don't know. I think that like as an individual card, it's better in Paladin, but as a combo piece, it's better in Shaman. You have cards like the new Taurus Cookie, which gives you Skirting Death, which is take 4 attack from a minion, so you can get that from your Horn of the Windlord. You could also run something like Adrenaline Fiend, which from Cookie, which also gives you attack. Then in Wild, you have cards like Rockbiter Weapon, which gives you attack. It's just, there's like Command of Neptulon, I think it's called, which is a 3 mana spell that gives you a +3 attack and a 3/3 with Rush. Or you have Storm Strike, I want to call it, which is from Darkmoon Faire, which is 3 mana, deal 3 damage to a minion, get +3 attack. There's just a bunch of ways to get attack in Shaman that I think overall it's a better combo piece in Shaman, because Shaman kind of needs it a little more, like at least in the decks that have existed in Standard, it's a little better in Shaman. But Paladin still has a lot of good ways to make it work. You had like Feast and Famine, which would give you like 3 attack and lifesteal. What the fuck? And that was really good, but I don't know. I think as just like a straight up like solo card, it's better in Paladin. As a combo card, is better than Shaman. Then we have Warlock. So Warlock has Opera Soloist. Like I said, this one saw a little bit of experimentation. It just wasn't that great. It's 5 mana, 4/6 demon. If you control no other minions, deal 3 damage to all enemy minions. Again, could have straight up just been printed as that, no changes. Maybe take off some stats. Maybe make it a 4/5, right? And it would have been a pretty fair and quite strong. It would have been a strong card. Don't get me wrong, but it would have been a fine, fair card. But it doesn't, so it isn't. And then we have Fellstring Harp. Fellstring Harp is actually really, really strong with fatigue effects, more so than other kinds of damage effects. Fatigue effects are usually going to be dealing like a lot of damage to you throughout the game because they ramp, right? So instead of like a regular damage effect doing like 1, 2, 3, maybe even 4 damage to you, fatigue effects are going to be dealing like 5, 6, 7, sometimes 8 damage to you that you can block with the Fellstring Harp and then heal 2 from. It's not good in Questline Warlock because, well, it blocks the damage, so you aren't actually, like, taking the quest at all, which is a little unfortunate because a card like this would probably be really good in that deck if it worked otherwise, but I don't know. Obviously, you know, you have, like, Fatigue Warlocks, like, you have, Crescendo Warlock in Standard or in Wild, and those are just real strong. The standard list is real good, so Fellstring Harp sees a lot of play. And Wild, it's pretty good overall. It's not like a great deck, but it is playable. It's like 20 or so of the same cards as well, which does say a lot. But it's fun deck. I don't know. I like Crescendo. I hate Crescendo Warlock because it's too strong, but I like playing it because it's fun. And then lastly, we have Warrior. So, Kodohai Drum Kit did see play in early Control Warriors during Festival of Legends, even though people really thought this card was bad. I think I remember saying it probably wasn't that good, but it was definitely better than I expected. It's just like a weird card. 4 mana, 3/2, Death Rattle, deal 1 damage to all minions, gain armor while equipped to improve. It's not that easy to gain, like, increments of armor. Yeah, you can gain a lot of armor from, like, 1 or 2 cards. You know, you can get 5 armor from Shield Block, you can get, you know, 10 armor from your, what's it called? Oh, I can't remember. The 2 mana spell from Alterac Valley gives you 10 armor that you use with Shield Shatter. Well, I can't remember what it's called. Whatever. So, or Frozen Buckler. That's the card. Frozen Buckler. You can get a lot of armor instantly from, like, single cards, but it's not that easy to get armor, like, rapidly from multiple small instances in Warrior. Like, yeah, you have the hero power, and then you had Razorfen Rockstar, which could do it, but it's just not consistent. So the card kind of fell off. And then by the time you got to Titans, you wanted to be playing those like high armor, armor gain cards rather than low ones because of Odin. So rip Kodohai Drum Kit. Then you had Remix Tuning Fork. It has a bunch of different options. You have a cleave option. You have +2 attack options, stuff like that. And overall, I think it saw some play in Standard. I really couldn't tell you. I'm going to be so honest. I don't remember seeing this card like in lists. You didn't really play it in Wild outside of like, or you played it sometimes in Standard with like the interaction with Forged in Flame, which would, you know, draw you a lot of cards with the Tuning Fork, but like, I don't know, man. It's just like, you know, it was just an overall kind of mid card. I might be wrong on this one, but I really just didn't see this card very often. And then lastly, you have Drum Soloist. What the hell, man? 5 mana, 5/5 dragon, taunt, battle cry. If you control no other minions, gain +2/+2 and rush. This is, again, tied for the most expensive one at 5 mana. And it has one of the worst effects. +2/+2 and rush for no other minions? What the It's okay. It's okay, because it's not the last Soloist. There's a neutral Soloist, Cowboy Soloist. 3 mana, 4/2, deal 2 damage with a condition. Ends it, dude. Ends it. This card got a signature, by the way. This card. Anyway, that's going to be it for me. If you guys enjoyed, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Tell me what you think down below. Do you like any of these cards? Have you had, like, fun memories of the cards? Do you dislike any of these cards? Do you really think that Soloists are just, like, a what the fuck kind of decision of cards being designed? Because that's what I think. Tell me down below. I'd love to hear all your thoughts. But, yeah, that's going to be it for me. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.
Shadows are rising again!
Darker than they've ever been. As evil descends from the skies, the world cries out, how will we survive? Out of the hall of explorers, and up from the dusty tomb, they grab their whips and fedora. are the